Hello, I have something that I want to share, and that is what I've decided to do, is to just start sharing learnings that I have, that I feel like God has given to me. And this particular one is about entering into directed rest. And I'm going to be looking at a book called Switch on Your Brain by Caroline Leaf, Leaf, just like a leaf. And the amazing thing that she's done is something that I really thought of doing back when I first got this book, like in 2013 or 14. I started noticing how science proves biblical notions, things that are in the Bible, and that, the Bible proves science. Like they should. I never understood, why don't they flow together and work together, which they did back in the Greek times. It started with philosophy. And then, I'm sure there were political things behind it, but to where science came to where it be now. But that's neither here nor there right now. The subject here in the book that I opened up to today, because I was drawn to go back to this book today, Switch on Your Brain, is entering into directed rest. Opened right up on chapter 5. You can actually get this book on eBay if you're interested. It's a really good book. It puts it in simplistic terms, like scientific. She's a neuroscientist, and it's just amazing. But so I have the American Standard Version of the Bible, and they use the word Jehovah in there. And I kept seeing in certain areas Jehovah, and I found out it's pronounced Sabaoth. But it looked a lot like Sabbath to me. And just today, I just so happened to say, since it was directed rest, that always makes me think, rest makes me think of Sabbath. So I looked at, oh, wait a minute, where is it? Okay. The meaning of the word is host or armies. And I mean, to me, that's like, as soon as I saw that it meant host or armies, when people say host, people always think of like heavenly, like the angels. But a host really is, in fact, just a house for anything. I mean, it can be a parasitic thing going on or whatever, but a host, it can be alien. A host is basically like a house for something. And, like if you're a host or hostess of something, you're letting something live in you. Or you have the conditions great for hosting whatever it is. And so to me, I think of the fact that it is saying in that moment, like she uses in here, she uses, be still and know that I am God. That's Psalm 46:10. And I feel like in that moment when we're being still, what's really happening when we go into a directed rest, she talks about how there is, I'm going to give you her main scripture and then her linked science concept in a second. But for me, when I saw that Sabaoth, and that it being host or armies, I was thinking that it's really what it is. It's letting them fight your battles. It's letting God with his, whomever he wants to use, his hosts, they're going to fight your battles for you. And so instead of, it's time better spent. It constantly says not to worry. We already know that there are effects that happen scientifically, physically with our body that are directly linked to our thoughts. Okay, they're finally catching up to all kinds of times where Jesus and Paul a lot talked about, like, keeping your mind on higher things. Stay with positive thoughts and positive thinking. Her main scripture here is the be still and know, Psalm 46:10. But the linked science concept is when we direct our rest by introspection, self-reflection, and prayer, when we catch our thoughts, when we memorize and quote scripture, and when we develop our mind intellectually, we enhance the default mode network. Now, anybody that loves computer terms and computers, you're gonna like this. It speaks in that kind of language too, because we are basically a computer. The terms. If you even look at like all the computer terms, they're modeling it right after our body, right after our brains. It's default mode network that improves brain function and mental, physical, and spiritual health. And what she's saying here is that basically when you focus on, when you go into this directed rest, you're tapping into the default mode network, which is, she calls it non-conscious, conscious, but I'm just gonna, I mean, I always hear it as subconscious. Like it's back. It's that place that has the meat of information that we need. It stores everything in it, and it's like I think of like Santa's workshop. I think of like Santa's workshop, the mailroom, how it's active and it's busy and there's elves running around, and you know, because I'm immature that way. I mean, look at my hat. The reason why I was wearing the hat, actually, not just because I'm menopausal and it gets so daggone hot that I keep my place now. I have got it on 60, and that's still not cool enough in here for me, but it's easier to whip off a hat. But it worked out for today, because when I had it on, I was thinking, wow, this is like a physical reminder, something on my head to physically help me remember to direct my thoughts. That I should leave something. And in Ephesians 6:10, he actually talks about the armor that we wear, that we should put on every day, and the helmet of salvation is one of them. And I feel like the helmet of salvation is knowing who you are, knowing whose you are too, and that helps us. That helps to keep us from worrying. But we have to know who we are first. And what better way to get in touch with ourselves than to go inside our secret place in our minds and just relax, let the thoughts flow. And I've been finding the more and more I'm doing this, what she even says, that it's scientific fact that when you do this, you feel like you might be wasting your time, and time's better spent doing, working, but it's really not. You need to take that rest and get your thoughts sorted out. Give it some rest so that God can do the rest. God can do the rest. Well, God's actually going to do the work, you know, but we're going to rest. We're going to rest in Him. And she talked about how it goes from the default mode network to the what did she call it here? The task positive network. Like if you go into your default mode network, you can actually bring yourself in line with order and balance by it actually taps into, it's balanced by the task positive network. And the task positive network, it supports the active thinking required for making decisions. So as we focus our thinking and activate the DMN at some point in our thinking process, we move into active decision making. So it's basically like saying it's something that you use, you focus, you keep your focal point God, and your Creator. He knows the best thing about us. He knows everything about us. He knows all the things that we need, you know, like I know, like my thoughts a lot of times, they're so chaotic, and it's like, instead of being back here in the background, it's all up here, you know. There's definitely a party going on in the front, and it's a party that I don't want there. It's constant chitter chatter, and there's that mail room. You know, I think about the mail room again, where the elves are just like running around, and that's just, you know, chaos. It's not order. But if we focus, if we get ourselves focused enough in His energy, get connected, and the default mode network, it's like, if you think about it like your Bluetooth thing. Our brains, our pineal gland actually have natural crystallized things in it, crystal and magnetic properties, which is like when we use radios and we use computers and stuff, we're using that the magnetic field. We're using all of that for communications. So it's kind of like Bluetoothing into God. And you know, we have to be very specific. Be specific about your network. You know, every single number on a radio is a frequency. that you're tuning into. The radio is your tuner. That's how you select the channel that you want to click onto. So if you make a conscious decision that my intent is that I'm connecting right now, everything else is shut out. Nothing else is allowed on this network, this connection. It's protected. It's password protected. It is, nothing can get through besides God and his spirit in me, and rest in that. And then you just delight yourself in God, in that loving energy. Really feel his love come through and know that he wants a relationship with you. It's through relationship that we have that close bond that is needed to get our minds to really work for us. So every single morning, there's something called neurogenesis, and you have little baby nerve cells that you can program any way that you want. And I want to keep going over stuff like this because it's helping to teach me and get it into my brain. But yeah, it's just amazing. But in Philippians 4:8, it says, finally, brothers and sisters, this is Paul talking, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And Jesus said all kinds of things about his whole, Sermon on the Mount was about, keeping a positive attitude and how to stay the positive things that we need to think on. And he constantly was saying things about that. And he knew, because he knew that is, one of the main things I'm learning to get into the presence of God is start out with your thank yous and your gratitudes and worship. And I thought of it, it's like, hey, the word's worship, but it's also like a warship for us. We've got our armor of God. It's in Ephesians 6:10 that we can fight the spiritual things. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of peace. That's like taking the good news to other people. The shield of faith and the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. And the sword of the Spirit is the word of God. His promises, things that God has said to you. And so in that way, you got your sword of the Spirit, you have all your other armor on. You actually have a warship that is going to take you through the whole day. It's the train of thought that you want to travel on. You can look at it that way. But if we start out your morning worshiping, praising, and thanking, and put on your armor, but also make sure to tap into that, your default mode network. Make sure that every single day that we are connecting to his network, because just like there's a radio with all those stations, there's other frequencies out there. There's other frequencies that you may not even know that you're tuned into, because maybe you're just on autopilot right now. And I do believe there's something that they're messing with. It's called CERN. It reminds me of discernment or concern. If you look into it, CERN, they're messing with things in our atmosphere. And I believe that can definitely send frequencies out. Frequencies that we don't want to hear. And they may even be inaudible to our ears, but it's causing chaos in our brains. I really feel this isn't just a conspiracy theory. Look it up, CERN. There's nothing good happening with that thing. It's them playing God. And I really, really have been getting a lot of messages lately that we need to sing. We need to sing praises, find a song in your heart. What's your song? Ask God what your song is, and then sing it. We're like acoustical instruments running around in his orchestra. And creation was meant to be, it was meant to be a musical. I think that's why a lot of people love musicals so much. I personally really don't like a lot of musicals, because I'm kind of a music snob when it comes to music. If I don't like it, I really don't like it, and I don't want to listen to it. And I know that's not maybe the best way to think about things, but I am so musically inclined that I know what I don't like, and I don't want to hear it. And I don't, if it's not on my frequency with me, I really don't want to hear it. So, but really, I just wanted to just kind of, this is my little, I want to tell you, this is my little I am box. I think about the burning bush and that's why I like to sit by this, because it's fake as all get out, but I just love the fire and just what, like, the energy behind that carries. Anyways, but just think about those things. Get yourself into that groove. That's what I'm going to be doing, and really put those positive affirmations out there. Walk in it. It is a thing. It's scientifically being proven now. Just like everything else, like I said in the Bible, it's a universal law. And everything was made through Jesus. Everything was made through him. Everything in the universe, in the earth, everything. So when he says, ask and it shall be given, we believe it, we receive it. You cannot receive something you don't believe. If I told you that, this pen had special supernatural powers, and, all you had to do was wave it around a couple times, there would have to be something inside of you to believe it, for you to actually want to, something is going to make you want to reach out and actually take it and try it. Most people of today probably would, not me, I'd be like, give it to me, I want, because I want it. As long as the power's not coming from somewhere I don't want it to come from, then I'd be all about it, and I would be taking it and trying it. But a lot of people are just, even to the point where, even if it's scientifically proven, they're not gonna, they're not gonna reach out and grab it. And I never will understand that, but I don't know, maybe it's my childlike personality, and that's how we're supposed to keep it. If we want childlike faith is the way to go. So somebody tells me something, we got to be careful. We got to be careful who we trust and who we give intel to about ourselves. But that's something different. I just wanted to share this simple point that directed rest will actually prove to give us more benefit and time back. Because actually, after I've been doing this directed rest, every time, something that I've been trying to think about, studying my books and studying this and looking at this and looking at that. And when I went to this directed rest, especially yesterday for a half hour, I had the answer like that. And we could get so good at it that we can do it. We can just go in the restroom from wherever we are midday and do it before we go to sleep. Before we go to sleep, we can actually program our dreams. We can lucid dream, if you want to look that up, LUCID. And I actually, in 2007 or 8, I was getting so good at controlling my dreams. I could say what I was going to do, and I'm getting back there. But we can actually control our dreams. This astral projection, all of that stuff, it's not just a bunch of hocus pocus. They are finding out in physics. They are proving it with physics. And at one point, I'm sure that physics was like an area nobody really cared to touch. And, a lot of times they do that with people that have these brilliant ideas. Ask Galileo. He had got all kinds of kickback for saying that they wanted to say the earth revolved around the sun revolved around the earth, or whatever. And he was crazy. He was absolutely crazy that he had that notion. And there are other ones too. I can't really think of the specifics right now, but as far as there's more people that were crazy in their day, and then they were labeled like genius after they were already dead and gone. One thing that totally amazes me is the Greeks. The Greeks, it was quiet. They didn't have all this electronic chamber. I just made that word up. They didn't have all that going on, and the chaos, and it just seemed like things moved slower back then. And And they were able to do this more. They were able to get in touch with that default mode network. And then, I mean, you realize that all of these like different cultures, are even the ones that existed at the same time, they were all getting somewhat of the same messages. And the messages were like, if you read their folklore, their mythologies, all those things that they call those things, how are they all getting the same messages? Maybe it was the collective conscious throwing it out, but why was it all lining up for the most part? I mean, it doesn't deviate that far. So like, something's going on right now with the camera where I'm looking on the back panels, and I don't know if I'll be able to see it when I look at the video, but I'm seeing green and I'm seeing pink and I'm seeing colors, like, and I don't know if it's the camera lens or it's me. But anyways, that's all. I just wanted to take time to just throw that thought out there and put it in the collective conscious and get it out, that it's really important to rest our brains, and it is going to give us more focus. It even says here, it activates higher levels when a person is daydreaming, introspecting, or letting his or her mind wander in an organized, exploratory way through endless myriad of thoughts within the mind. It is a directed, deeply intellectual focusing inward and tuning out the outside world. So that's all it is. It's keep thine eye single. Keep your eye focused on God. No worrying. Worrying, actually, it says in here somewhere, she talks about it. Again, it's chapter 5 if you get the book. That worry is, I mean, it actually causes spots in your brain. Black spots. You know, our brains look like trees. And I can go over that some other time too. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, that this is all in us. We have everything we need inside of us. We can use things for reminders, objects, just to look at colors and stuff. It's great, but he gave us everything inside of us, and it is up to us to stop running from the cure in a lot of situations, stop going towards chaos and distraction, and really focus, get our focus, especially the times that we're in right now. It is so important for us to connect with our Father and find out what he wants from us, and to be the best version of ourselves. Get healthy. We can heal ourselves. It is fact. This is factual. He gave us everything we needed to heal ourselves. We shouldn't even have to go to the doctor half the time. We shouldn't be sick half the time if we're really believing in the things that he has promised us. Of course, we find out the things that he promises us in the Bible, and some people are just terrified to read that book, but I've been reading it since 2004, and and it's just nothing but a love language to me. If anybody sold you anything different, it's not God. It's definitely not God. God is love. And there are things in the Old Testament that would make you think that, but you have to know that that's just a foreshadow and explanation of things, and it's too much to get into now. But if you did really read the whole Bible with a heart set on knowing him, your creator, our creator, and having a relationship with him, and stick with it, put the work in. You know, relationships are work. There's some work there, you know, but really there's also just a lot of receiving. And go into your quiet place and really just try to breathe and focus on God, and just try to let everything else go. So anyway, that's it.